Hello and welcome to another episode of Just Jets. What is going on? I am your host, Matt O'Leary. I'm excited to get into this episode with you. There is a ton for us to get into in this lovely episode. Coming a little bit later than usual, but there's a good reason for it. There was a late breaking news story late last night that I wanted to talk about in the episode today. So I said we're going to hold off. I want to record with this topic as well before we get into voicemails, which we'll do. Don't worry. We're going to get into your voicemails. But 5 insane stats from the 2023 season will be our look back portion of the episode. And the players put Keith Carter on blast. So that was the big story that we want to get into in the second half. And, of course, your voicemails. But instead of doing a year or game review first with New England and just how that season came to a close in the final game of the year up in New England, there is really not much to break down from that game. Breece Hall went off and the Jets missed the playoffs for the 13th year in a row. A lot of the storylines we've hit on already, but instead, for my look back at the 2023 season, I wanted to talk about these 5 stats that really broke my brain in a way. And it's not, some of them are more obvious, others are not as obvious ones, but there's a storyline with each one of these stats to just go into how bizarre the 2023 season was for the New York Jets. So let's start with the stats, then we'll get into the Keith Carter drama there. So the New York Jets on a season, right? 17 games. They only had 11 passing touchdowns as a team combined. Zach Wilson, Trevor Siemian, Tim Boyle in 17 games. Those 3 guys combined for 11 passing touchdowns. Now, again, keep in mind this is over a 17-game season. So the only other recent comparables are 16-game seasons. In 2015, the Rams did the same thing. They had 11 passing touchdowns on the season. But anytime you want to go and find someone or find a team that had less than 11 passing touchdowns on a season, you have to go back to the 2012 Kansas City Chiefs, who had just 8 passing touchdowns, and they went 2-14. The Jets going 7-10, or winning 7 games with this inept passing offense is truly remarkable. Truly, truly remarkable. And it's not a necessarily let's dump on Zach Wilson conversation. It's a mix of, hey, the quarterback play from Zach, Trevor, Tim, not good enough, along with, hey, the play calling being absolutely abysmal for this team. Offensive game plans, absolutely abysmal for this team. Offensive line, not good enough. Receivers outside of Garrett Wilson, not good enough this year. 11 passing touchdowns over a 17-game season is the first insane stat. That is truly remarkable. Okay, how about this one's more on the positive side, but could be skewed into a negative for next year, and I'll tell you why. So Bryce Huff, there you go. Why it could be skewed to a negative? Because this could be his last year with the New York Jets, which I think would be a massive mistake. I want to make that stance very, very clear. If the Jets don't offer Bryce Huff a contract extension, they let him walk. Horrific mistake. He had 10.5 sacks this year, Bryce Huff did. He is the first edge rusher to post double-digit sacks since, well, a long time, right? John Abraham. Or no, Calvin Pace. Calvin Pace might have got it. There you go, Calvin Pace. But he's the best Jets edge rusher they've had since John Abraham. 10.5 sacks despite only playing 42% of snaps. What he's able to do, the kind of production that Bryce Huff has given the New York Jets in the lack of playing time is truly, truly remarkable. Remarkable. He is 15th in the league in pressures despite playing only 42% of the snaps. You have guys up there who are playing 70% of snaps, and he is clearing all of them. All of them. Incredibly impressive player. second in pressure percentage in the league behind legend like Micah Parsons. He is among one of the most talented edge rushers in the game. And my fear with Bryce Huff going into next year is that they are going to let him walk because they drafted Will McDonald. And that, as I just mentioned, I think would be a horrific mistake. You need more than 2 edge rushers, number one. The Jets like to rotate a lot, but Jermaine Johnson, Bryce Huff, and Will McDonald can't be your trio. You can't find a way to get through all those 3 guys on the field. Bryce Huff with the lead. Think about this, too. How often were the Jets playing with a lead this year? Not very often. So this defense didn't really get their chance to pin their ears back and go and get after the quarterback. Is it crazy to say he could be a 14 to 16 sack guy on a team next year that could win double-digit games with good quarterback play and be playing with a lead? I don't. I absolutely think he could be in that range. He's a 25-year-old, 26-year-old stud pass rusher on the edge, something they haven't had in forever. And I think if you let him walk and he signs somewhere else on a good team that is going to play with the lead, I think he's going to be Shaq Barrett, where he's putting up 15 sack seasons. You're going, wow, where did this come from? Well, Jet fans know where it came from because he showed that potential. This one was just absolutely bizarre, by the way. Tyler Conklin, 0 touchdowns this year. Not an anti-Tyler Conklin stat, just a how the heck does this happen stat. Tyler Conklin had a really nice season. He had over 600 yards. He is the only tight end this year, by the way. The only one to have 43 or more targets without a touchdown. That's just an incredible number. Again, he was very involved in the passing attack. It was pretty much Garrett, Breece Hall, and Tyler Conklin. And I think with legit quarterback play and Aaron Rodgers coming back next year, to me, there's no reason that Conklin can't be someone who's hanging around 700 receiving yards and have like 5+ touchdowns as a tight end. Rodgers likes the tight end. Who knows if Brock Bowers enters the chat as a draft pick, maybe that changes things a little bit. But I don't know how this guy isn't more productive next year with legit quarterback play. He's been a really good Jet. I think he's handled himself well here. I think he's been a pretty good leader on this team. He won the Media Good Guy Award. He's a very likable and easy guy to root for. And I thought he had a nice season. But the fact that his nice season ended without a touchdown is an absolute crying shame. That's ridiculous. Insane. All right, how about Sauce's bad year? I'm saying bad year in air quotes, right? Because everyone was like, he struggled at times earlier this year. And in Sauce's down season, he played 17 games, allowed 251 receiving yards, which was less than last year, allowed a 56.1 reception percentage, 1 touchdown, 10 pass breakups. If that's a down year, that is incredible. That is another all-pro season. 251 yards. Insane. In 2 years in the NFL, he's been hit for 2 touchdowns. He's given up a touchdown a season. That's just an incredible, incredible start to his career. Truly, I think this is another all-pro guy. To me, there's no doubt that he should be an all-pro. Him and Patrick Surtain are the 2 best corners in the league. Bar none. I think, I've said this before. I would put Sauce 1. If you want to make the argument that PS2 is the best corner, I will listen to it. Anybody else, I think, is a stretch. At the absolute worst, Sauce is the 2nd best corner in the league, and I won't listen to anyone who puts him lower than that. I think I don't take their opinion seriously. I would put him 1 and PS2 2, but those 2 are in a league of their own. And for Sauce to get any sort of criticism this year for effort or tackling, I think is ridiculous. Like, to put any sort of focus on something that Sauce Gardner, Breece Hall, or Garrett Wilson did in a negative light is just an absolute waste of time. And unfortunately, we saw it at points this year because for each one of those guys, for Sauce Gardner, it was the drop pick 6 against Dallas and the play against the Buffalo Bills up in Buffalo where he tries to jump the route and a big play happens for a big touchdown. If that is what you want to focus on from Sauce Gardner's season this year, then I feel really bad for you because that's 2 plays out of a stellar all-pro season. And he did the same, and people did the same thing with Garrett Wilson. Oh, he's not a true number 1 receiver because he doesn't go up and get every single ball that's thrown his way. Drops are not a Garrett Wilson issue. He goes up and makes incredible acrobatic catches. So I think that raises the expectation for some. And if he goes up for a ball and is contorting his body and doesn't come down with it, it then looks like a bad thing because, oh, he didn't come down with that one. When in reality, he gives you so many more that he probably shouldn't to begin with. And he's put up back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons with nobody's throwing the football. Zach Wilson, Mike White, Joe Flacco, Josh Johnson, Chris Streveler, Tim Boyle, Trevor Siemian. What would he do with a healthy Aaron Rodgers? Or not even that, just pick any quarterback, middle of the road quarterback. He's a 1,500-yard receiver and putting up close to 10 touchdowns. Instead, it was what, 1042 and 3? It's unbelievable, his talent. And for anyone to just, I don't know, I feel like it's a waste of time to talk about. The same thing when Breece was struggling in the run game. Like, it was just a waste. You're worrying about the wrong things. And last but certainly not least, this is the one that is just too perfect. So PFF always at the end of the year puts out their rankings. And, you know, take rankings with a grain of salt. But just to show the variance of these 2 units. The Jets defense was ranked number 1 and the offense was ranked 32. If you want to do DVOA, it was 3rd in defensive DVOA and 32nd in offense. So has there been a more varied unit? Like, has the offense held back a unit more over the last 2 years than the Jets offense has held back this defense and special teams too, by the way? Shout out to the Jets special teams unit. They finished, guess what, 5th. So you have a top 5 special teams unit. You have a top 3 really defense. If you don't want to put them 1, you want to put the Browns 1, that's fine. I will say at worst the Jets are a top 5 unit in the sport. You're completely wasting it because of how inept this offense is, which that is the big thing that has to change in 2024. And that, to me, is the biggest theme of the 2023 season. That's why I wanted to have that stat on there and wanted to have that stat last, because the Jets offense for the 2nd season in a row held back an elite level defense. It's frustrating. Frustrating stuff. You know what else is frustrating? The Jets bringing back Keith Carter. So there was a story earlier in the week that most of this staff was going to be safe. That guys like Todd Downing and Keith Carter were going to return for the New York Jets. Well, I did a video about a month ago talking about why the Jets have a ton of injuries. And one of the guys that I think deserved blame for that was Keith Carter because of how he ran his practices. There was a story in the offseason too when Taylor Lewan was talking about Keith Carter and his relationship. He thought that Carter was too hard on the veteran guys and didn't do a good job of taking care of their bodies. And that's why they got banged up as the year would go on. That, we don't know how he ran the practices because we are not there. But did the Jets offensive line not get banged up as the year went on? So Taylor Lewan posts an Instagram for his friend, Mike Vrabel, and former coach, because he just got let go. And in the caption, Taylor Lewan says he loved Vrabel, loved his staff, except for Keith Carter. There was an exception to the list. So Keith, that was the first thing. It was like, oof. Granted, one person's opinion was never on the Jets, but that's not a good look for someone who was, Pro Bowl tackle, a really good offensive tackle in this league, to really have that disdain towards the Jets offensive line coach. Not ideal. Then Jets started to get involved. Breece Hall, laughing emoji to that comment. Mekhi Becton, comment, second paragraph, meaning the part with Keith Carter, nothing but facts. The Jets players do not respect Keith Carter. That was my takeaway from this. They have zero respect for what he does, and I don't blame them. I don't think he's someone that should have been hired in the first place, but for the Jets to just run that back seems like a massive, massive mistake. Why? What did he do? What did Keith Carter or Todd Downing do this year where you said that, yep, they absolutely have to come back? I not understand, but I have accepted Nathaniel Hackett coming back for this team. I cannot understand for the life of me why Keith Carter, why Todd Downing, why Rob Calabrese, Taylor Embry, pick a coach out of a hat. Why are they coming back? Can't have any turnover on the staff. You liked what you saw from this offense? They're just fully going on. We would be fine with Aaron Rodgers. And I, to an extent, think they are going to be much, much better because elite quarterback play can mask a lot of things. But man, I do not like the idea of running every single positional coach back, especially on the offensive line, that for the second year in a row had catastrophic injuries. Catastrophic injuries. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. It's insane. Let's get into voicemails. We got a lot to get into today. We're going to start with Haley in Georgia wants to talk. Zach Wilson. What happens with Zach Wilson?
Hey, it's Haley from Georgia. So I know I live in Georgia, but I still love the Jets. I'm a huge Jets fan. I just wanted to know, what do you think they're going to do with Zach Wilson? Because, honestly, I don't get why he's still on the team. But, thank you so much for everything, and, go Jets. Yeah.
Thank you, Haley, for checking in. I don't think that Zach Wilson's going to be back in 2024. I really don't. I think both sides are just going to move on. Just by reading the tea leaves on what stories have been coming out. You had Aaron Rodgers at his press conference at the end of the year come out and say hey, sometimes a fresh start is what you need. There was the story, albeit out of Deseret News, which is out in Utah, but there's a story that the Jets told Zach Wilson they were going to trade him in the offseason. That's why he was apprehensive to go back in. I just think it makes sense for both parties to move on. It's been 3 years with Zach, hasn't worked. I'm not saying that it's all Zach Wilson's fault. It's not. The Jets do play a role in this, but I think he's shown enough where you can feel comfortable moving on. And it's going to be the same thing that happened with Sam Darnold, right? It's a very similar storyline, although to Sam's credit, he gave you a lot more than what Zach Wilson did. But it was the right decision to move on from Sam Darnold because he's a backup level quarterback, which is fine. You could carve out a career doing that, but not a starter. Proven not a starter in 3 years. Goes to Carolina. Proven not a starter there. He's backing up in 49ers, probably his best role. And I think that same thing is going to happen with Zach Wilson. And then but it's the same thing. You can't give up on this guy. He's going to go somewhere else and be great. Well, you have this one crazy outlier, Geno Smith, having a couple of good seasons 10 years after he leaves, the New York Jets, and people freak out. Didn't happen with Sam. I don't think it's going to happen with Zach, who's looked significantly worse, unfortunately, than both those guys. Constantine is up next. Constantine, we got a rant today. How we feeling, Constantine?
Matty, Constantine from PA.
What's up, man?
Hey, man, first and foremost, congratulations on your engagement. I seen the quick pic of you and your fiance. You guys look really nice together. Now, as far as the season is concerned, it's a wrap. At least we beat the Patriots going out. I'm not too upset about the draft pick status. We're still going to be able to pick a very good player. My guess is we got to address that offensive line first and foremost. And then we got to get a wide receiver, and whatever else we need, we can get later in the draft, I would imagine. As far as the Zach Wilson thing, hopefully it's the last time it's ever being mentioned. He just needs to move on to another team. I wish him the best, but he was definitely not the quarterback for us. Year and year again, it had proven itself. As far as all the Jet fans out there, I appreciate you guys. You know who you are. You guys make my week every week. I listen to your calls. I listen to your concerns. I listen to your praises, just as like you listen towards mine. And the bottom line is, you know what? We're all going to stick this out, and hopefully we'll start seeing some more wins in our future. I really want the Jets to think about what happened this year. They need to prepare better as an organization because things do come up. As far as MetLife Stadium is concerned, they really need to tear that shit up and put up natural grass. Agreed. That turf has been nothing but a injury-prone field. I mean, think about it. You know, Bosa a couple of years ago, Testaverde, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So, you know, if Woody Johnson cares about his players, he needs to address that ASAP. And it's not just them, it's the Giants too. So you can't tell me two teams can't get together and put natural grass on an open field? Come on. As far as the defense is concerned, another good game by us. I think our defense will be fine next year if we could find an offense that could complement them. We won't have to worry about quarterback play that will be insufficient. I hope it's going to be plenty sufficient for us. And I just think, all in all, I think that we might be going into a good situation next year. Anyway, good luck to everybody in the off season. We'll probably talk a little more during the draft. Maddie, as always, I appreciate you. We don't always agree on things, but we'll agree on one thing. The green and white live on the fight. So, Jets, 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 let's go.
I love it. We got a positive Constantine call today. I love that. We don't have to agree on everything too. Like, I want this to be a space where we can get different point of views and, you know, talk with each other and try to be as respectful as possible with it. We don't have to agree on everything. But something else I agree with you with is that they got to do something with this field. And you're right to call out that it's not just the Johnson family, because you also need the Giants in on this. But they changed the turf at MetLife this year, and nothing changed. There were still major injuries. Rodgers happened on the MetLife turf. Jalen Phillips from the Dolphins was on the MetLife turf. In Giants games, there's been injuries on the MetLife turf. Enough, man. And they'll say, well, you can't have grass because of all the other things that happen there, like the concerts and things like that. There's got to be a way to figure out a better solution, because what they've had right now hasn't been good enough. It hasn't been good enough at all. So I'm with you, Constantine. That is something that's got to change. Devin from Nevada's up next. He's got a lot to get into here. Some Breece Hall stuff. Let's get to Devin.
What's up, Matt? Devin from Nevada here, calling in on the last Victory Monday of the year, man. So I guess it's all right that we got to end things off on beating the Patriots, man. Normally, I mean, going into like even the Commanders game, I was Team Tank, just because. Listen, man, I understand, you know, people being like, oh, you know, it's pride. It's like, bro, that's not a real thing, man. You know what I mean? It's like Orlando Brown chose to go over, I think either the Bengals or the Chiefs, instead of the Jets. You know, Calais Campbell went to the Falcons, you know what I mean? And we had Rodgers, you know what I mean? So players are going to go where, you know, makes sense for them and like their families and things like that. So like if we lost and got a better draft pick, then that'd be cool, but it is what it is, man. So, but, I guess, you know, just a final recap of the year. Something that I thought was funny, man, is, all year we've been like, please give Breece Hall the ball. Please give Breece Hall the ball. And apparently Hackett, like 6 weeks ago, just found out that he's pretty good. So there's
So
that.
stupid.
But also, it's like, bro, the past 2 weeks, it's like they've been running this dude. I'm like, bro, don't get me wrong. I'm all for, giving him some work, getting his legs back and everything. But, bro, he had 37 rushes in the snow on the last game of the season.
Yeah.
What? Like, bro, I was like, what the hell are they doing to Breece Hall? Man, and then Joe Tittman and Garrett Wilson got hurt, so two of our great offensive players got hurt, so it's only natural that we win that game. But, yeah, man, I guess I'm just also shocked that everybody's coming back. Keith Carter, Todd Downing, everybody, man. It's just,
Bingo.
wow, that's crazy. But it's been a funny year, man. The season from hell part 2. So I appreciate you, being you and sticking out, putting this content out there all year, man. You do a great job, brother. Congratulations as well on your marriage, brother. You definitely are a GOAT. So
I appreciate that.
you, Matt. And I guess one question that I have, man, is give me your rebuttal for keeping Salah. So let's say I'm on team get rid of the dude. I've been on that for a while now, but and I'm not sure what side you are on, but give me fight for Salah, stick up for him, and let me hear why you would keep him, because I don't know why we would. Love the show, buddy. Take care, bro. Peace.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. So this is going to be my case to keep Robert Saleh. It's not a strong one, but I'm going to do my best to give you some optimism about Robert Saleh. I would point to how the defense has gotten better year over year, the development on the defensive side of the ball, and then you're going to say, well, that shows that he's a good defensive coordinator, and I'm going to go, well, damn it, there goes my argument. But the quarterback play that he has dealt with has been bottom of the barrel in all 3 years. And for them to win 7 games with a quarterback room that threw for 11 touchdowns is a testament to how good that defense is. If they could even just be average on the offensive side of the ball, top 15 in the league in offense next year, have a top 5 defense, have a top 5 special teams unit, they should be much better. And hopefully Aaron Rodgers coming back eliminates some of those pre-snap penalties, which the penalties have been a major issue there as well. They were the most penalized team in the league this year. They were a top 10 team in least penalties last year. I believe they were the 9th fewest penalties in 2022. So this season was a little bit of an outlier in that regard. But hopefully that changes. All those penalties changes with the addition of Aaron Rodgers. That's my pitch. It's not a great one. I'll admit to you that there's flawed logic involved, but I did the best that we could. Let's go to Jerome calling in from Savannah. He's a little bit heated on Aaron Rodgers.
Matt O'Leary, thank you so much for taking my call. This is Jerome from Savannah. I was going to call in about the Jets draft position having been essentially ruined by their so-called victory over the trying to tank New England Patriots, but instead of relitigating that, I wanted to call your attention to the exit interviews just for a moment. Something that I didn't see you or Ryan covering. If you did, I apologize. But Mr. Rogers opined that the Jets players should, in his words, get the bullshit out of the locker room or get the bullshit out of the building. You are the bullshit. You are the bullshit, asshole. I mean, this guy is a world-class narcissist. Elon Musk doesn't like talking about himself as much as this prick does. And this is the kind of person that you have entrusted your organization, that you basically let run the entire organization because of our starstruck owner parading around in his ridiculous chain. I can get Aaron Rodgers. This is what you allowed in the building. He brought the bullshit here, and he's going to complain about we are going to get the bullshit out of the building. Stop going on McAfee, you dumbass. Nobody cares about your fucking opinions. Anyway. By the way, Matt, congratulations on your engagement. Later.
The switch up from that heated message to Matt, congratulations, by the way. Really funny. Look, I don't want to get into if Aaron Rodgers is right or wrong with his opinion like that. Just not touching. Feel however you want to feel on it. I'm not going to argue or debate with you on it. The only thing that I will say on Rodgers is it's a little bit, it comes off a little bit hypocritical to say we got to get the BS out of the building, and then to then go, hang on, I'm gonna have my rebuttal to Jimmy Kimmel on Pat McAfee tomorrow, so tune in. Look, I'm happy that Aaron Rodgers is here. I'm clearly not as upset with Aaron Rodgers as Jerome is. I liked the move to bring him in. I think he was the right choice to bring in, and I'm excited to see him next year. And while he may be talking about actual things inside the Jets facilities that are happening with, football related, that may be true, but optics wise, it's a bit much for that quote to come out and then be like, oh wait, hold on. Also, by the way, I'm gonna have my response to insert late night comedian here on the McAfee show tomorrow. There was a little irony involved. Travis from Ohio. Travis, my friend, what do we got?
Hey, Matt!
What's up?
Travis from Ohio. Hey, brother. Didn't get to talk to you last week, so Happy New Year, and congrats on making an honest woman out of Taylor.
Thank you.
I know you still got that father-in-law, and this is Monday, so I guess if Michigan wins, then I'll be happy for him. But I'm rooting for the other Big Ten team against them, so just like I rooted for Willie Namath's alma mater last week against them. It's the Ohio in me. I'm sorry. Anywho. This week, I don't care about the draft picks. They really didn't change that much. New England didn't go up to number 2. They're stuck at 3. We fell 2 back to 10. So freaking what? I don't have it in me to root for a Jets loss against New England, especially when Belichick's still there. So I'm glad we blew the doors off them. Not really, but score and yards and everything else wise we did. So, anywho, we got all off season to bitch about who we're gonna take.
It's the best.
Sign in free agency, and we can do that later. Can't we just enjoy the win over the Patriots after 15 tries? Jesus Christ. I mean, come on. Fitzpatrick was the last quarterback to do it.
It's a long time ago,
Trevor
man.
Siemian, thank God. What the hell? I mean, bottom of the barrel there.
Oh,
you
boy.
know? So, put it all in perspective. It's 2024, New Year. Go Jets. Love you, buddy. Bye.
Thank you, Travis. Appreciate it. Look, I'm not going to lie to you and say like I was the most excited thing in the world that the Jets beat the Patriots. I wouldn't have been upset if they lost the game. I really stuck with that numb thing that I was going into the game with. I was like, all right, whatever happens, happens, and we're just going to do it. And I was happy that Breece Hall played well. I was a little nervous as our guy rightfully called out. Devin talks about how Breece ran the ball 37 times. It seems like an insane number. But dropping from 7 to 10 is what it is. You should be able to find an impact offensive player in the top 10. Figure it out, Joe. You didn't drop from 6 to 28. You went from 7 to 10. You dropped 3 spots and are still in a top 10 position. So you got to be able to find somebody. And it was about time. And hopefully that is it for Bill Belichick. If that was a win and Bill Belichick's back, then it's like, it doesn't really mean as much. But I wasn't going absolutely crazy. Oh my God, yeah, they finally ended the streak. I thought it would feel a little bit better, to be honest with you. But I was kind of like, okay, that's cool that it's over. That's nice. And then that was it. PG from Long Island, what do you got?
Hello, Matt. PG from Long Island.
How are you, sir?
I'm just sitting here on Victory Monday, relishing the fact that we were able to watch Bill Belichick whining to the officials in the fourth quarter as the Jets kicked their ass. It's been a long time, and it was worth it to give up those new draft spots. I'm just happy about it now. Luckily for the Jets, not only did he have to go against the Jets defense, he had to go against the conditions, the weather conditions, so no chance for him to outcoach the Jets. They just didn't have a shot. Jets defense really stood up. So happy about that. Looking forward to next season. Going back to something we spoke about in the past, Bryce Huff seems like he is obviously not going to give a discount to the Jets. And, again, why Joe Douglas didn't sign him to a contract extension last season, I don't know. But now, we have a good chance of losing him. I guess my question is this. Any chance that the Jets sign, tag and trade him? Is that a possibility, you see? I mean, obviously it's a premium position. This way the Jets could get something back for him other than the third round compensatory pick. I don't know. I don't know if that's a possibility. I mean, can you sign somebody, franchise them and then have them renegotiate with the team that you trade them to? So it's not as high as the franchise tag, which is very high, I think, for a defensive end, which is what he is, edge rusher. Anyway, that's my question. And as always, going into the off season, go Jets.
Yeah. It's a good question. And thank you so much for the call, PG. With Bryce Huff, I think it would be a mistake. I think it would be a bigger mistake to let him just walk for nothing. So I think at absolute worst scenario, it's a franchise and trade. But I really want to stress this. I hope they don't let him go. I would pay him. They have enough to where they could pay him and help out the offense. You can structure it so that if the cap hit is lower in year one and it progressively goes up as the salary cap goes up. Cap rises every single year. They make money hand over fist in the NFL. It's going up every single year exponentially. You kick it down the line, but you're in a win now window, and he's your best pass rusher. You cannot let him go. They should have signed him in the offseason last year. They should have signed him in season this year, but they waited. It was their own fault. From day one, they didn't know what they had with Bryce Huff. They've mismanaged him for pretty much the entirety of his career up until this season. He's playing like 20% of snaps up to this season. It was stupid. He was their best pass rusher. He gets up on the field more, 40%, which is still low, and he gives you 10.5 sacks. Imagine if you played, I'm not even saying bump him up to 70%. I'm saying give him a 50 split. Him and Will McDonald should be a 50-50 split. JFM could play inside a little bit more, but mix and match there. JJ on the other side as well. He'd be a 15-sack guy next year. And that's a lofty expectation, considering that nobody on the Jets seemingly gets double-digit sacks ever. Quinnen Williams was the first one to do it since Muhammad Wilkerson. But he gave you, again, 10.5 when the defense never played with a lead, and he was on the field 40% of the time. He's just entering his prime now. You got to keep him. Absolutely must. Let's close out with James from New Jersey.
Yo, what's up, Matt? This is James Fowles, Brick, New Jersey. I wanted to talk about your stance on Joe Douglas.
Sure.
So I know he's been taking a lot of heat, and, rightfully so. We haven't been getting the results that we wanted these past few years. But at the same time, we've seen some good things. He's drafted us some studs. Some picks haven't hit. Take Wilson, for example, Saxon. I was just listening to his when he was talking to the media, and he was talking about, I know what needs to be done this year. We got to be better. I got to ramp up this wide receiver room and the O-line, and it seemed like he was also alluding to the fact that he didn't do enough at backup quarterback. So, I think that last season, I really think it was a fluke bad year, and I'm trying to keep my faith in Douglas because he has done some good things, and I honestly do have faith that he knows what needs to be done this offseason, and he's not going to go out and make some boneheaded pick like Will McDonald again. I think he knows that where he needs to allocate his resources this year. So just your stance is on Douglas and how much faith you have left in him.
Yeah, thank you for checking in. I think that's a good spot to leave it. I was a little bit concerned with the press conference with some of the things that he had to say about this pro scouting department and with their evaluation on Dalvin Cook specifically. But there are other examples as well on there. But that's one that really jumped out to me. And I think he took too many cop-out answers with hindsight. Hindsight's not a good excuse. And I'm not saying that Joe Douglas has never done anything good for this team. That would be completely false. He had a great, excellent, all-time 2022 draft. There's been some legitimate criticism with some of the other drafts that he's had, though. 2020, you want to say COVID? Okay, fine, pass. 2021, missed with Zach Wilson. Had to trade away Elijah Moore. Was able to find Michael Carter II late, which is good. But Denzel Mims didn't work. Ashton Davis was, the year prior? The Ashton Davis might have been the year prior. I take that one back. And then 23, pretty much you have Will McDonald, who I'm not giving up on, but didn't give you much this season. Joe Tippmann was pretty solid. And then outside of that, it's question marks. So he's got to fix the offensive line. You're right by that. I don't know if he's going to be the right one to make the choices. I hope he is. Becton over Wirfs looks really bad now. Looks really bad. Warren and Mitchell have been Carter Warren showed me a little bit more than Mitchell, I think, but not by a lot. AVT's been good, but he's been injured. Joe Tippmann, these are all high-end picks, a lot of them, too. You have 2 first-round picks on the offensive line in AVT and Mekhi Becton. You use a second-round pick on Joe Tippmann, and you're still fixing the offensive line after 3 first-round picks in four drafts. 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, 3 first-round picks in 4 drafts, and the offensive line's still a problem. That's scouting. So that's my biggest concern there, is the pro scouting, and specifically on the offensive line. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new. I'll catch you next time.